If you are a job seeker or a career changer, your opportunity is coming. Don't give up, just keep going. But you have to put in the work as well.
Welcome back to the Sunshine Cafe. I'm Lisa Roers, your host, and hey, thanks for joining me today. I'm here just to pour some positive back into your day with practical tips and stories to encourage and inspire. So let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the Sunshine Cafe. I'm Lisa Roers, your host. And one of the toughest things that I think in life that we all are faced with is that prospect of finding new employment, especially when we unexpectedly lose an employment, whether it's laid off or the company folds or whatever it might be. Well, my guest today is quite an expert in this area, and I'd like to welcome Anna Anderson to our show. Anna, welcome to
Thank,
the program.
thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
Career development or career searches are just really they're arduous because you're constantly getting no's. And actually in today's day and age, sometimes you don't even hear back. You just throw your resume out there and it turns into this big black hole that you never hear
Mhm,
back from. So
mhm.
tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into that line of work in the first place.
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. Thanks again for having me today. My name is Anna Anderson, and I am a career coach, a project manager, and a project management professional certification trainer. But I just didn't get into this. It took a long time to get into where I am today. I started off my journey 20 years ago as a customer service representative, and then just curiosity made me want to get into project management. That's where I am a professional in. And so that curiosity got me getting my master's in project management, but also just reaching out within my organization, asking them, hey, is there any projects I can do? And so within that, I was given a simulation project, picked my interest, applied for an opportunity within that team, and I finally got a project coordinator role. And then based on that, based on my performance, just started getting more projects. And yeah, now I'm a senior project manager by profession, but also I coach people who are trying to get into project management, just learn the steps that helped me get into that so they can earn six-figure salaries.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Mhm.
One of the things that stood out to me just now when you were saying that is you are the one that reached out for
Yeah,
opportunities for
yeah,
project
yeah.
management. And
Mhm,
it was your performance. It wasn't just
mhm.
handed to you. You really
No.
had to demonstrate your skills and demonstrate your expertise before that opportunity opened up for you, right?
Yeah. And especially you said in today's day and age where first of all you're ghosted. First of all, you don't hear back, your resume is out there. It's not like before where you'd apply for a role and you immediately hear back the next day and within 3 days you already have a role, you start. Now you have to do that and some more. You have to network. You have to reach out to people at places that you want to work at. And that's
Right.
for me, that's what I did because project management was an interest for me. I had to reach out to a team and let them know, hey, can I do a simulation type project? And
Mm.
I'll never forget this lady. Actually, her name was Lisa. I don't know when she's no longer with that organization. She was like, yeah, we have a simulation project, and here you can do this. And that's how I set it to practice. And then eventually they had an opportunity, which I ended up getting into. But you had to network to get there. Mhm.
Yes, a good point. Hey, just out of curiosity, what is a simulation project?
So a simulation project is just a project where it's not your title, it's not your role, you're just doing it for practice so that you can
Oh.
gain that experience. And so that's what I teach also in my community. I teach them, people who've never done project management, I teach them project management foundations. And then we do a simulation project, kind of like what it would take for you to manage a project from the beginning to the end.
I love that.
Mhm.
It's the whole setup of apprenticeship feels like it was a lost art where you
Mhm.
could just work underneath somebody as their apprentice
Mhm.
and learn underneath an expert and how
Mhm.
they do that job so you
Mhm.
can then emulate that job and take it on as your own. I think we've really lost that gift, that art of that apprenticeship. What do you think about that?
Yeah, you're right. And one of the reasons is because of security. Now, organizations are not just letting anyone into their company, proprietary information, sensitive information. So you can't just let someone in like that. So the best way, if you're looking for some type of apprenticeship, is to probably reach out to someone within your organization. as a start, because both of you have passed the security, you have access to the same systems.
Sure.
That way you can, speak with someone that way. But you just reaching out to me and say, hey, Anna, can I shadow you? Oh my goodness, now I have to find security. Now I have to all that stuff. You get your badge, all that stuff before you can even have access to the system. So and then now again, people are working from home. So it's no longer like, oh, you have to go to the office where someone can follow you around. Now, because of hybrid work, remote work, there's a lot of security there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So do you coach people that are mainly already employed that are moving into a project management role or have some kind of a career and are moving into that area?
I coach everybody. I have coached people who are stay-at-home moms. I've coached people who are transitioning from a previous role into project management, career changers. Examples are dental assistants, teachers, executive assistants, as I said, stay-at-home moms, or someone who's already a project manager. Maybe they've been impacted by maybe some type of layoff, or they're
Hmm.
just getting back into work and they're like, Anna, I don't want to like search all over the internet. Can you just give me everything as a one-stop shop? So all those people, so anyone who's trying to
Got
get
it.
into project management, I'm here to support you.
Got it.
Mhm.
So, one of the questions I have around this topic, and I do want to get to your backstory as well, because you have a really unique backstory also. One of the things I think is really extra difficult is for like these fantastic new graduates who are coming out of college who have zero experience.
Mhm.
They've never worked out in the actual real world, so to speak. Or
Mhm.
if they have, it's been just like maybe a not paid internship or even a paid internship, but they have no experience and they don't really have those networking skills yet. Do you have any recommendations for someone who's just starting out?
Yeah, I know it's difficult because some of these job descriptions are saying 5 years of experience, 8 years of experience, and you're like, holy cow, I just graduated. What do I do? But I want people to be proactive while they're still in school, especially if they are trying to get into a specific role. So those internships counts as experience. You can also volunteer. So for example, there are tons of platforms for it. I'll give an example. Catchafire.org is a great platform for people to start, especially if you're looking for some type of project manager role, to use your expertise and knowledge to volunteer with them and
Mm,
lead a project or something like that. Other platforms are volunteermatch.org. And if you go to those websites, some of them will be come up locally to your specific location. So for example, Volunteer Match, I saw some within our local hospitals here, and you can go in there and volunteer, and that's experience. So that's one way. Or join your local, like, chapters for project management. Even project management, we have local project management institute chapters that you can join, and you can network with people. That's
mm,
the first thing, volunteering. The second thing is also networking. So just don't wait, because just like everybody else who's graduating, everybody's looking for a role. So you're going to be in a pool with tons of other people who are in the same shoes as you. Graduation period is December, but most of the time it's around May, June, and all that stuff. So can you imagine everybody in June waiting to start applying? So you should be proactive, maybe start in January, or even start the previous year, connecting with people at places that you want to work at. Even if you want to do something pro bono so that you can, I know it's hard, but
mm.
as you can just start gaining that experience, I think it's critical. But the ball is in your court. It's no longer where like you just apply and get. You have to apply and sell more.
Yeah, and no one's going to reach out to you. You have to
No.
really take that step.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, when there's so much competition, these
Mhm.
companies are absolutely going to work with someone that has a referral,
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
someone that they know, because that's a known quantity, and
Mhm.
they already meets the test that they're a good person, that they're reliable, that they're trustworthy, and that's just one huge hurdle to get past if you can get into a company because you know someone.
Yeah, and that brings me to the point of informational interviews. So when you're connecting with people at places that you want to work at, ask for an informational interview. And then once you speak with them, again, make it intentional and not transactional, because a lot of people will make it transactional after that. They're like, can I send you a resume and all that stuff? And someone's like, oh my gosh, I just wanted to have a conversation with
Yes,
you. So
right.
build that relationship first and make it intentional. And then after that, you can share, hey, is there anyone else within your organization? Thank them for meeting with you, first of all. And then, is there anyone else within your organization that I can speak with? That way, you're starting to build that relationship. And as you said, referral. Then, when an opportunity comes up, hey, I spoke with Lisa. She looks like a great fit for the role. So it may take longer, but at least you're building that relationship.
Yeah, that's wonderful advice. Really
Yeah.
great, Anna.
Hmm.
Well, you and I had a really kind of fun time. I thought it was really fun the way that I met you because I was doing some multiple interviews. I had
Yeah.
probably 8 or 10 that day,
Hmm.
where I was interviewing people and just kind of doing informational interviews like you had just mentioned.
Hmm.
And I was talking to people in Spain and New Zealand and Ireland and Southern United States. And all of a sudden, you pop on my phone call here and you're 5 miles away from me.
I know.
Was so wonderful. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
a neighbor with
Yeah.
all the other people I'm meeting. But I know that your background, I think you said you're from Kenya, right?
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
remember
Hmm.
that because I met my husband in Kenya, which is
Yeah.
such a nice connection. But
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about how you came from Kenya all the way here to Minnesota, where
Cold
it's not
Minnesota.
exact cold Minnesota. Exactly. What was that path like?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Kenya. And then, but in college, I went to a college that has a kind of like a college in Minnesota as well. So after graduating my undergrad, my dad was like, "Hey, do you want to do a master's?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." So we started looking. He's like, "Why don't you just continue with your master's program with the same college, since at least you have some type of history and all that stuff?" Which I did. So I ended up applying St. Mary's University of Minnesota. It's here in the Twin Cities, and also there's a small a campus in Winona, Minnesota. But for international students at that time, you had to go to Winona in Minnesota. So yeah, so that's how I came. Oh my goodness, I feel like I've lived in here in America more than I've lived in Kenya now that I think about it. But yeah, so I came here. I've been here like for now 22, 23 years. But yeah, I did my master's in international business and trade. And then I moved to the Twin Cities, and I was like, you know what? In project management is actually piquing my interest. So I enrolled for another master's, and that's how I did my master's in project management. But during that time, I met my husband, and we ended up getting married. And then, 2 kids later, and I'm still here. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's a beautiful story. I love that. And for anybody who just doesn't know, Minnesota is not exactly the same kind of climate as Kenya.
No.
Very, very different. But I think that's just that actually ties in really well to what we were just talking about with career development, because the whole reason that you ended up getting to Minnesota was because that college was a familiar college.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Very similar to people get jobs because that person was a familiar person. It's like
Hmm. Hmm.
we do as human beings tend to gravitate toward things that are known quantities.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just is safer
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
our
Yeah. Yeah.
survival. So I love that you followed your gut to kind of just come all the way over here.
Yeah, I didn't even know Minnesota was that cold. So until I got here, everyone was like, "Why did you come here? You're coming from a tropical weather to cold Minnesota." And I remember the first day when there was snow, because again, international students, I had friends from Colombia, Czech Republic, Thailand, everywhere, because all of us lived in the same, house, dormitory, whatever. And they're like, "Ah, no, snow," because I'd never seen snow before. So everybody like knocked on my door, "Come on!" So
Oh,
I'll always remember that, because we all just, some of us had never seen snow, especially some of the students from Thailand and Colombia and all that stuff. We just all went inside, running outside like silly girls, just
yeah.
excited seeing snow for the first time.
Snow is pretty magical, actually. I have to say, I really love snow. I don't love it for 6 months, but I
No.
really do love snow. On those days when it's like 20 below zero
Yeah.
Fahrenheit, we all wonder why we live here. But
Yeah.
but fortunately, they don't last long, and they're
Yeah.
just short little spells. But
Yeah. Hmm.
well, back to the career development. What are the couple of first things that you might recommend somebody do to kind of help set themselves apart in the whole pursuit of a new job or pursuit of a promotion in their current job? What are some of the things you'd recommend that they do to kind of help them start that journey?
Yeah, so what I always say, first of all, is identify maybe 2 to 3 industries that you're interested in. What I see a lot of people do is like, I ask them like, what kind of role are you looking for? Any industry. And I'm like, okay, so you're gonna get retail, you're gonna get hospitality, you're gonna get tech, you're gonna get, I don't know, all that stuff. So maybe identify 2 to 3, because when you identify 2 to 3, you're gonna start seeing some of the specific requirements and
Mm,
keywords that they're looking for in their job description. So that's important. So once you identify that, you'll start seeing, specific keywords that you can start adding onto your resume, not copy pasting, but incorporating into things like your resume and your LinkedIn profile. Because you want, when recruiters are looking at them, they're like, "Oh yeah, Lisa, you have experience in this, or you have experience in that, or you've done this. So that's the first thing. The second thing, once you do that, is make sure that your resume is accomplished based. A lot of people, again, just copy paste the job description into your resume, and it doesn't show some of the accomplishments that you've done. Recruiters take 6 to 10 seconds to look at your resume. So if they don't see any metrics, if they don't see any accomplishments, what you've done, how you did it, and what was the accomplishment, you probably are not going to stand out from the other person.
Yeah, I
So
just want
it's
to pause on
important
that really quick. You said 6 to 10
to,
seconds
yes, yeah,
that your
quick
resume
peruse.
is going to be viewed. So,
Yeah,
so ladies and gentlemen listening out there, your
yeah,
resume needs to have something eye-catching that
yeah,
they see in a matter of moments because
yeah,
they only have a few seconds.
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, and this is, and recruiters will tell you that as well. They don't have time. They have this much. They don't have time to start like going through each and every line. So once they pick up the people that they want to see, then start going into detail or call you and say, okay, do you have this experience and all that stuff. So you want to make sure that you're standing out from the big pile of everybody else who has applied. And let's say you're just even doing it the traditional way, just applying, and you want a recruiter to find you. That's what the process they're going to take.
Mm,
And now some organizations also have something called applicant tracking systems, known
mhm.
as ATS. So once you put in your application, the ATS sometimes, if within some organizations, they will pick up specific keywords from your resume. And so I always think about it this way. They're like, sorting out like, okay, not this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. And that's why sometimes when you apply for a role, you'll probably get an email maybe 30 minutes later, even sometimes 10 minutes later. You don't look like a great fit for the role. You're like, what? I just applied for the role.
Like,
It's
how do they
because
even read it in that time, right?
it's because the applicant tracking system spit you out and you don't have the keywords that they're looking for. So it's important for you to tailor your resume to the application or the role that you are applying to. That's very, very important. And a lot of people say, oh, and I've applied for 50 jobs today. Did you tailor your resume? No. Did you make sure that you have some keywords from the job description onto your resume? No. How did you apply? Just apply with a generic resume. You're not going to stand out. That's why the ATS is going to send you a rejection email. And you're going to be like, I'm getting so many rejections and all that stuff. So put in the work. Pretty much that's what I'm saying. Put in the work. Put in the work. You'd rather apply for 5 roles a day than 50 roles that you're just not even putting in the work.
Ex-
5 roles that you're really putting in the work in.
That's so true. Yeah, it's a very good point that you have to put in the work. It's almost like your full-time job is looking for a full-time job. So it takes a lot of work. And I know it's hard because it really hits our that we're constantly getting that negative feedback that they don't want me. That one person doesn't want me either. That next one doesn't want me either. But you make a really good point, Anna, that if you're not tailoring to what somebody's asked for and you're just throwing a generic resume at them, you're not really working hard for that particular job. I heard a worst case scenario, maybe there's probably somebody listening who's had more, but a friend of mine and I were talking about um, job applicants, and she said that this gentleman she had worked with had applied for 700 jobs. But to your point, I have to think that that was more of a just, clicking the button on LinkedIn that says apply now. And you
Yeah.
need to really do a little more.
Yeah, and I can understand and also be empathetic
Yeah,
because if you're looking for a job, you're like desperate to find a job. So you'll
sure.
throw your application out there. You're not even thinking about tailoring or being specific and stuff like that. So there's that fatigue, there's that feeling of defeat that I'm just
Mhm.
being, rejected. So from a mindset perspective, you're just gonna be like, I'm just gonna keep applying, keep applying, keep applying. So you also need to shift your mindset and just being like, you know what, I know just I'm applying, but let me figure out a different approach
Mm.
where I'm now just going to start tailoring. And instead of 50 a day, I'm just going to do 3. I'm just going to do 5. That way you feel some type of satisfaction that I've put in my all instead of feeling like, I've applied for 50 and then hoping for some type of call.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's great. How do you coach your clients through that mindset element? Because I'm sure that's a big piece of it for both having the confidence when you go into an interview, but also just having the tenacity to keep going.
Yeah. The mindset thing is very, very tricky because, especially again, if you're desperate to find a job, there's nothing I can tell you sometimes that's going to even shift your mindset. it's up to you to just shift it based on what you see, based on your aha moments and stuff like that. And I see that a lot with some of my clients where they're like, I'm feeling defeated and all that stuff. But once they start seeing traction because of some of the things that I am telling them to implement, that a lot of the times shifts their mind. They're like, yeah, it's actually working. Me, I was doing this before and all that stuff. But now that you told me just to maybe tailor, or you told me maybe to reach out to specific recruiters, or you told me just to, reach out to network this way, that once they start seeing that kind of traction, you'll see a lot of like, oh my gosh, and things start moving very, very quickly for them when I see
Mm-hmm.
that. So it's one thing for me to tell you, okay, do this, but it's also up to you to be like, you know what, actually, yeah, let me do this because I can tell you everything, but it's up to you to change your mindset as well.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
and each individual has to stay proactive with it. Like you
Yes.
had said in the beginning, the job's not going to come to you. You have to really seek it and,
Mhm.
demonstrate in 6 to 10 seconds exactly why you are the right candidate for that
Yeah, yeah,
particular job.
yeah.
Not that you're just a good human and you could be employed by anybody, but that you're
Mhm.
a really good fit for that particular job.
Yes, 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 yes. You're right. Yeah. And again, as I said, I can be empathetic because the job market has not been fun at all in the next past 2, 3 years. But I feel like it's picking up because of, I just one of my clients joined my program. She already landed a role and
Nice.
she's starting out in 2 weeks here. So it's picking up and some of my clients are having interviews. So, while sometimes you may feel defeated, just don't give up because your
Yeah.
opportunity is coming. Someone somewhere is waiting for you, and it's up to you to, just be patient, I guess, for lack of a better word to use.
I love that line. I'm going to
Mhm.
say it again. Somebody out there is waiting for you. So
Yeah.
just keep on going, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So what is from your experience, what is the typical time frame that it does take? And there may not be a typical because each job has its own complexities, but when you're working with someone from start to finish, kind of how much time does it typically take for people to find a job?
Yeah, so it depends because everybody's coming from different backgrounds,
Sure.
especially someone, since I'm specifically in project management, some people, you know, are coming in with zero knowledge of project management. They have some experience, and when I say some experience, they have transferable skills, which are soft skills, which means as a project manager and any other role, I'm sure you communicate, you lead, you problem solve, you're proactive, you manage, you collaborate, all these things. So those are soft skills that you're going to bring from your previous role. Now you need to learn some of the hard skills as a project manager, like how to manage a budget, how to manage schedules, how to manage risks, how to engage and communicate with stakeholders. So all of that stuff, you need to learn some of that stuff, how to use different project management methodologies or tools of how to manage a project. But you have to have a great mindset or be ready to learn some of those things. So based on that, people probably already have the experience. Some of them I've seen like 4 weeks, I've seen 7 weeks, but I've also seen 18 months.
Mm.
Okay. I had a client who last year was like, Anna, I'm done. If I don't get this role, I'm moving back to Kenya just to spend 3 months with my extended family, just to relax, get my mind off all this stuff, and then be back. Can you imagine that week that she said that she got 3 job offers after 18,
Three.
3 job offers?
Oh my
She was
goodness.
spoiled for choice. She's like, I have no idea what to do. Ada, you tell me what to do. I'm like, nope, this is your role. This is now you make the decision because you worked hard for this. So what I'm trying to say, it depends. It could take 4 weeks, it could take 7 weeks, but I've also seen the longest person, it's taken them 18 months to get that role.
Mm.
But when they finally got the role, they were spoiled for choice on what to take. So
There you
yeah.
go. There you go. Well, it's good to have that expectation and just understand, the general layout that it might be faster, but it might take a longer time, just so you can kind of, you know, be ready for the battle as it might be as you're looking for a job. So,
Yeah. And another thing that takes some people longer is the interviewing process because you can have like the best resume, you can have the best LinkedIn profile because those are the documents that will have a recruiter reach out to you, a hiring manager reach out to you, and stuff like that. But when you get in there, it's the interviewing because people, first of all, panic. They have imposter syndrome. They are just nervous. They want to say the right thing. But I always tell people, like, make it a conversation.
mm,
You're telling your story. it's not like you're not going to be there like a robot. You're not on a witness stand or something like that. You're
Right.
telling your story, and you want these people to see and be like, you know what, Lisa, you look like a great fit with our team, and you look like a great addition within our organization because you're having that conversation. I'd had an elementary school principal from a small town in Mississippi reach out to me, and she's like, I cannot go back to teaching because just want to move on. Now she is a senior program manager with AWS, Amazon. And when she interviewed, she didn't have any tech experience,
Mhm.
zero tech experience, but her storytelling. I coached her through storytelling, sharing her story with these people who are interviewing her. And they moved her from level 5 for her salary to level 7 because of just how confident she was and how she's sharing her story and her experiences with the interview panel. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. The whole storytelling thing.
Yeah.
And one piece of advice that was told to me in my career days, in my corporate career days before I started my own business, was to go into those interviews interviewing them as
Yes.
much as they are interviewing you. You want to be liked by them, but you also want that job to be one that you enjoy. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of can help take that little edge off. But I love that you said this is just an opportunity to tell your story.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, how does somebody create their story and how do they get confident with telling that?
Yeah. So during interviews, there are different types of interviews. So you'll have a recruiter call you and say, hey, Lisa, you look like a great fit for this role. They'll ask you the basic questions like they tell me about yourself and just see if you meet some of their requirements that they have
Yeah.
on the job
And that's
description.
just the initial, let's just
Yeah.
make sure that they meet
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
requirements. Got
Yeah.
it.
So then if you feel like you're a great fit based on that, you'll move on to the next round. Sometimes maybe two, three, 4 rounds, depending within the organization. So the next round, maybe you'll interview with somebody, maybe a hiring manager, maybe someone from that team, whoever it is. But what I always tell people is prepare your star stories. A lot of organizations will ask you questions, behavioral questions, and situational questions. Now, situational questions will be like, what would you do if maybe someone is not completing their work on time? That's just a situation. What would you do as a project manager or as a leader or something like that? That's a situation. Or you'll hear something called behavioral questions. So, behavioral questions are questions that ask you, tell me a time when. Or you are working on a project where someone was not completing their tasks. What did you do? They're asking you in the past. What did you do? Or tell me a time when you're working on a project and blank and stuff like that. What did you do? So here you use a method called, this is a method that I like to use. Some people have different methods, but I use a method called STAR methodology. So STAR stands for the situation, the task, the action, the result, and sometimes you can even put in a lesson learned. So you'll share the situation, you will talk about the task, what the task was, and then the action, what you did as a leader, as a project manager, whoever, whatever title it is, and then the result, what the result was, even if there was a metric outside of it. So I always tell people, please prepare your stories for all kinds of behavioral questions. There are tons out there. I have them within my program, but prepare your stories from that perspective and then continuously just review them so that you are staying ready, not that you're getting ready the night before and calling me, hey, and I have an interview tomorrow. Can we prep? I
Right.
want you to stay ready so that it's easy for you just to go when a
Yes,
recruiter
at any
calls you.
moment when you get
Yeah,
an interview, you don't have
yeah,
to be
yeah,
scrambling,
yeah,
you're all ready to
yeah.
go. I love that. The situation, star,
Yeah.
situation, the task, the action, and the
The
result.
result. Yeah, yeah. So those are for behavioral questions. And it's important for you to seriously, this is the game changer for a lot of people. A lot of people find they get tired of creating star stories or writing them down because they're like, I've been applying, blah, blah, blah. By the time I even want to create a star story, I'm exhausted. But if you're a job seeker and you want things to move very, very quickly, even make it a habit to even create 3-star stories a day. And once you start, as I said in the beginning, when you're tailoring, or rather when you're looking for roles, if you pick 2 to 3 industries, you'll start identifying what kind of suggested questions would come from these job descriptions. And that's now how you create your star stories. And you'll see, okay, these questions, these job descriptions that they're continuously asking for someone who has blank. They're probably gonna ask me blank. Okay. And now we have AI. We have AI, we have ChatGPT, we have Gemini, we have Claude, we have all those platforms. Put in those suggested job descriptions in AI, Tell it I'm having an interview tomorrow with this company. This is the job descriptions. What are some of the suggested questions do you think I could get from this job description
Right.
in my and whatever? And this is my resume. Create for me suggested answers. Now, you don't want to just copy paste. Now you tailor them to your own tone, your own way of saying things, because during the interview, you're not going to be reading. You're going
Right.
to be talking to someone. Now, you can have them somewhere where you can quickly pick so that you can remember or have some type of reference point, but at least you have something
Yes.
to
Or use
speak
bullet
to.
points to just
Yes.
kind of help
Mm-hmm.
you remember the
Mm-hmm.
task, the things you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to say on
Yeah.
those. That's a
Mm-hmm.
wonderful way to do it because it just kind of gets the creative energy moving and
Yeah.
using ChatGPT or
Yeah.
some other AI
Yeah.
to kind of give us some suggestions. I love the using it to prepare for questions
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes, I mean, AI is great for that because
Mm-hmm.
we can't think of questions that they might ask us, but AI is great for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then we can prepare for those kinds of questions. And then, like you said, also having chat look at our resume
Mm-hmm.
with a fresh eyes, if you will, and
Mm-hmm.
helping us extract the things out of it that might be really valuable to share and how to share those things.
Yeah. And also, there's tons of websites out there that also some people graciously go on there and give their experience on how they interviews. One such
Mm,
website is glassdoor.com.
mm,
So, glassdoor.com, I've seen a lot of people, not all companies. So, again, yeah, if you don't see your company that you're interviewing for, maybe it's too small or maybe just someone didn't go. Because these people are doing this voluntarily. Nobody's telling anybody to go in there. But people will give their experiences. For example, you can go in there and type in maybe company, maybe you're hiring Sunshine Cafe, and they'll be like project manager, and someone's like, this was my experience, this is some of the questions that I was asked. And so then it gives you an opportunity for you to also go prepare for those as well.
exactly. Wonderful. I will one small little word of caution for Glassdoor and maybe other similar type platforms is because
Mhm.
people can voluntarily put things in there, you might find more negative things
Yeah.
than
No, yeah.
positive because people have a tendency to be
They're
more
annoyed.
aware when they're not happy about things. So just kind of keep that in mind
Yeah.
as you're looking through those websites. It's
Hmm.
just, oh my goodness, look at all these negative things about this company.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
maybe it was just a transition or an acquisition or something they were going through and it just wasn't done very
Hmm.
well.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well, that's amazing. One of the other questions I had for you, Anna, is around body language. Let's talk about like how to interview, whether you're on a Zoom call or whether you're in person and you have people who don't make eye contact
Hmm.
or who don't enunciate clearly or kind of those things about just how you're presenting your personality.
Hmm.
Do you have any coaching tips for people on that
Yeah.
front?
Yeah. Enunciating is very, very important, especially for those of us who I have an accent, and nobody ever asks me, in an interview what your accent is. But by speaking, people will be like, okay, she is not originally from here. She has some type of English, whatever, and or British accent and stuff. But especially here in the United States, I've learned that, we are all from different parts of the world, and you have to make sure that you're speaking clearly. And if you don't know how to say something, you can joke about it during the interview. These are humans as well.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're going to penalize you for that, because I've worked with people who sometimes I can barely understand what they're saying, but they're producing the best work ever. Like,
Mhm.
some developers or QA people and stuff like that. So number one, don't worry about, things like your accent, just be you, but make sure also you're enunciating yourself. You're sharing how you can speak. Another thing is also presenting yourself. We know it's a job interview. You're not going to go there in a sweatshirt, a hat, I
Right.
kind of have to be presentable. So whether, business casual or business professional, whatever it is, be presentable. Show up on time, even if it's like 3 minutes early, show up on time. If you are on site, I always tell people, especially if you don't know the location, go the previous day, just take your route, drive there, just so that you can see how long it's going to take you.
Mm.
Especially with some morning interview, there's traffic and all that stuff. So add for time and then arrive on time. Not like 30 minutes early where you're lingering around the, the
So 5 or 10
front
minutes
office.
early.
Yeah,
Yeah.
10 minutes, because you make people uncomfortable. Or joining the call 30 minutes early. Again, what if it's the same teams that somebody else is using for another meeting? So things like that. But I think these are things that sometimes we think it's common sense and people are just gonna do them, but sometimes it takes us a reminder.
Yeah.
Be presentable, show up on time, enunciate your words, and yeah.
Exactly. I love for people to show up as the best dressed in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the job itself is business casual,
Mm-hmm.
show up as the best dressed one in the room. You never
Mm-hmm.
get a second chance to make a first impression,
No.
right?
Mm-mm,
The
mm-mm.
other thing that I really love about interviewing processes, from my experience, is make sure you know exactly what the follow up is.
Mm-hmm.
Because in this day and age, when all too often those resumes never get responded to, or the
Mm-hmm.
interviews you never hear back from,
Mm-hmm.
ask the person, when can I expect to hear from you?
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't hear from you by that time, can I contact you
Yeah.
directly?
Mm-hmm.
And get that permission at the end of your interview so you have the permission and the rights and the contact information
Mm-hmm.
you need
Mm-hmm.
to make sure you understand what the next steps are.
Mm-hmm.
That will
Mm-hmm.
help alleviate any of your, those frustrating moments where you're like, I have no idea what happened to that interview because nobody ever got back to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So take the reins on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Find out for yourself what you
Mm-hmm.
can do to get a follow up. Now, you can't do that with a resume that you're submitting, but you certainly can do that with a actual interview. You can find out
Mm-hmm.
from that person.
No, it's important to ask those questions at the end of the interview because they'll give you an opportunity. Do you have any questions for us? So if you just say no, oh my goodness, that's just not the best thing for you to do. So do you have any questions for us? That's one question. What are the next steps? Another question that I like is based on our conversation today, is there any information that you need me to clarify on or maybe add additional information on? That way, the interview is like, no, you're fine, everything went well, or maybe they'll need a clarification something. And if you're running out of time on your thank you note, when you send out your thank you, reiterate to answer that question that
Right.
time, because sometimes you never know. But yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm, mhm.
That's great. That's great. Oh, there's so many pieces in here. We could probably talk most of
Yeah,
the
I
day.
know, I know.
No, and this is why you coach on this stuff because it's just such a valuable process and there's so much complexity to it. And
Yeah.
and like we said earlier, every job is so unique and you really do need to approach that as each job is a very unique job. You have
Mhm.
to almost look at each job as its own individual adventure trip.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
going to pack differently for
Yeah.
each trip you go on. You're going to
Yeah.
sometimes you need a swimsuit, sometimes you need snowshoes. It just depends where you're heading.
I love
So,
that analogy.
so you just have to make sure that you've got your suitcase packed and you're ready to go.
Mhm.
And the suitcase in this case is your resume. So make sure
No,
you're
you're right.
packed. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Well, my sweet friend, thank you for your time today. Do you have, before we go, how can people reach you if they want to connect with you for career development?
Yeah, so I am on LinkedIn. I will share with you my LinkedIn link. Feel free to message me. Feel free to connect with me. Let me know connecting with me through listening in this podcast with Lisa. And I'm happy to share with you, just speak with you or answer your questions regarding career transition.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We'll put those in the show notes for
Mhm,
sure.
mhm.
And before we wrap up, is there any final thing you'd like to say? Any encouragement or thing that you'd like to remind people?
Yeah. Applying and just waiting is no longer the norm. You have to apply and some more. And so keep going. But I also want to tell you not to give up because your opportunity is coming and it's just not here yet, but it's coming.
Yeah, I love that you said earlier that person out there, that job out there is waiting for you.
Yes, it
Just
is.
have
Yeah.
to work to find it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much, Anna. As a fellow Minnesotan, I so appreciate you and your time today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. Thank you, Lisa.
Anna's calm confidence is a great example for us all. I have 7 highly employable takeaways for you to help you land your next job. Number 1, don't just apply, and then do some more. Networking, informational interviews, and follow up are essential when you're looking for work. Treat the process of submitting your application or your resume as just one part of the process. Real traction comes through building relationships and intentional connections. Number 2, tailor your resume. Remember, you only have like 6 to 10 seconds to catch the attention of that hiring manager, so be sure that you show your accomplishments, not just reiterate the job description itself, but do use those keywords from the job posting to make every second count. Highlight those measurable impacts you've already made in your job experience or life experience, and use role-specific language. Number 3, start now. Be proactive with your internship, with volunteering and reaching out, even before graduation or before you need a job. The best time to look for a new job is when you don't need one. So always be looking for ways to build connections and gain experience. These are the things that will set you apart. Number 4, use those AI tools wisely. Platforms like ChatGPT and Grok and other things can help you prepare for interviews and brainstorm using those STAR stories. Remember, Anna said STAR stories are like what's the situation, the task, the action, the result, and maybe the lessons that you learned in your previous experience. But let that technology support your strategy and preparation. Don't let it replace your authenticity. You are unique and you bring something special to the table. So use the AI tools to help you get clear on who you are and what you have to offer, but don't let that AI ever replace your uniqueness. Remember, you want to get the job, yes, but you also want to keep the job. So use AI tools to get clear on your unique gifts, but deliver your authentic self. Number 5, shift your mindset. When you're unemployed, finding that new job is your full-time job. So focus your efforts on less resume submissions and more higher quality submissions. Quality beats quantity when each application that you put out there reflects effort, alignment, and thoughtful follow-through. Number 6, prepare to tell your story. Remember, interviews are not interrogations. They're just conversations and an opportunity for you to tell your story. And remember, you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. So be confident, be human, and let your personality, your passion, and your past experiences shine through. And finally, number 7, show up strong. Represent your best self. Dress well, arrive early, ask questions, and be sure to find out when and how you can follow up when that interview is over. First impressions matter most, and how you show up might just be one of those small details that helps you stand out from the crowd. Thank you for joining me today. Please, if you would, share this episode because you never know what kind of encouragement might be in our conversation that someone else needs to hear. So pass it along, like it, and subscribe. Let's work together to flood the world with more encouragement. Until next time, my friends, stay encouraged and be inspired, and I'll look forward to seeing you right back here next time at the Sunshine Cafe.